Good morning, my dear students. Today we have lecture number 6. Topic of lecture is periodic law and periodic system of chemical elements of Mendeleev. In lecture we have several problems. First, discovery of periodic law. Second, disadvantage of the work of scientists before Mendeleev, and third, the modern content of the periodic law. Discovery of the periodic law. The periodic law was discovered 1869 by Mendeleev. When was discovered by Mendeleev, was known about 16 chemical elements. In the 16th of the 20th century, the atom was considered indivisible, was known about its internal structure. The discovery of the Mendeleev on the bond was timely. But on the other hand, it was significantly ahead of its time. The scientific commonly was not ready for its perception. What was discovered? When discovered the chart of chemical elements, we can say about chemical properties of chemical elements. For example, from sodium to lithium to halogens, we can see their big difference between their chemical properties. For example, sodium repeats the properties of lithium. Sodium is followed by magnesium, which is similar to beryllium. The exhibit metallic properties, all following magnesium, remembers barium. Johann Wolfgang D.I.Mendeleev also worked about classification of chemical elements in 1829. He formulated ideas about natural groups of elements. He called this classification elements triads. All the triads he has 4 triads. On slide you can D.I.Mendeleev triads. For example, lithium, calcium, chlorine. Newlands also in 1856, for the first time, he arranged the elements in order of increasing their atomic mass, depend on their chemical properties. For the first time, he established a certain periodicity in changing the properties of chemical elements, but his octaves contained errors, contains errors, because his classificate of chemical elements don't known in the future. On the next slide, you can see Newland's elements octaves. Also, Mayer in 1864 to 1865, he published tables in which he arranged the elements according to their valence. On the slide, you can see about Mayer's chart. This disadvantage of the works of scientists before Mendeleev, they can't classificate chemical elements depend on their chemical properties, because their works don't known in the future in the nature. Work on the periodic table. Mendeleev chose the atomic weight of an element as a main characteristic of an atom when constructing a periodic system. Why does the periodic table have such a name? In the periodic table, the general pattern is changing. The properties of the atoms of the compounds they form are repeated at certain intervals. For example, in the periodic table, in the first periodic, we can elements has less electrons. About seventh periodics elements, we can say there many electrons. Three formulation of periodic law. First, the periodic law says about the properties of chemical elements and the substance formed by them in a periodic depends on the relative atomic mass of the elements. Second, the properties of chemical elements and their substance formed by them are the periodic depends on their charges of their atomic nuclei. Then about the modern content of the periodic law. Now we have modern periodic table of chemical elements. It contains more than 100 chemical elements. The properties of chemical elements and compounds formed by them other periodically depends on their chemical properties. On the next slide, you can see the properties of the element mainly depend on the number of electrons on the outer layer. For example, lithium, sodium, and potassium. We can see here their electrons arranged or located in their shells depend on their place in the periodic table. For example, halogen atoms have 7 electrons. We know the many halogens. For example, fluoride, chlorine, and bromine. Then about physical meaning of the periodic law, physical properties of chemical elements similar to their chemical properties. So, the significance of Mendeleev's periodic law. The periodic law is one of basic law of the nature in the modern chemistry. Periodic law allowed us to predict the extents of new, as yet undiscovered elements. That's all. If you haven't any question about today's lecture, thanks for your attention. Goodbye.